Hey guys, welcome back to the S&C Roundtable. I'm joined by Will Ratelle. This is episode 1 of the Hoss Hour. I think that's what we're going to call it. No, how do you say it? You say it differently. You say Hoss.
Hoss. Hoss. You know what a
Yeah,
Hoss is?
it's a horse, strong man.
Yeah, like a big, strong, dependable man who has physical characteristics of a horse.
That's mad. There's also
Yeah.
woman Hoss, woman Hoss. There's a girl at our gym. We call her woman Hoss, but it's kind of weird.
Is he huge?
She's just really strong. I don't know. She's just really strong, and we just call her a Hoss. But it's weird now.
I
And
mean, I think it's a compliment, I guess.
yeah, I think it's
Even if it's
compliment too.
yeah.
I think it's more like you get shit done. When I think of a
Yeah,
Hoss, I think you just get
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what I have a bunch of questions that I went through on your Instagram recently, and I thought maybe we can answer some of them because I just think some of them are funny and some of them are. You're right.
Yeah, I was just checking to see if I finished my Diet Coke, and I did. I wanted another sip.
I'm all out of chocolate milk as well, so this is pretty
Yeah.
depressing for both of us.
Yeah.
So there was some questions I went through on your Instagram that I thought could be quite interesting. So there was some retarded ones as I was thinking about things, but then I also love your answers because you just like give the most concise answer. Do you ever think about writing a longer response, or you just like to keep them? You have like a 25
I
words or
like
less.
I like keeping them short, and I used to sometimes give longer answers, but like so many of my Instagram posts are just like condensed versions of my YouTube videos. So it's like if you want a more thorough response, just go watch my YouTube video,
Mm.
or like buy my ebook.
Mm. Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's so true. Yeah, exactly. There was
you know,
someone.
actually, you know what really, you know what sometimes just bothers the shit out of me
Let's
is
go. Let's go. I'm ready.
um, like today, I just made a post about clean pulls. Well, I originally had a YouTube video about clean pulls, kind of like making fun of the idea that like you shouldn't teach the full lifts, you should just perform the pulls because it's easier. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I made an Instagram post, again, a condensed version of my YouTube video. And I got some guy who commented some question about like giving me this really specific scenario about when it might be better to do clean pulls than learning the full lifts. And it's like, I'm just giving a general idea. I'm not going to go over every single scenario in which this idea is not applicable. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at the comment now on clean pools. But anyway, yeah,
Did you
it's
find
interesting.
it?
No, I couldn't find it. I can't do
Yeah.
two things at once. If I'm trying to like talk to you and then look there, I'm pretty
Yeah.
bad with
Yeah.
that stuff.
Distracting.
So someone
Yeah.
commented, any recommendations for going from the top position to behind the neck? I've always felt sorry, I don't know why it's funny. I can't you know why? Because I'm reading your response. I always feel super unstable and uncoordinated when coming back down. Fucking hell. I read that so badly.
He's talking about recovering after
Yeah,
injury.
for the behind the neck joke, but for the behind the neck
Oh,
joke. And you said
yeah.
you said to quote, no recommendations. Just be athletic. Dude. Why would you?
It's true though.
Yeah,
It's
no
true.
recommendation. And then someone commented below them, "Oh, you got to try this, this, and this." Um, and he was like, "Thanks to the other guy." It's like, "Fucking get out of here." Oh, anyway, I thought that was so funny. When I read that, I just laughed. I just laughed. I was
Well,
like,
okay.
"Fucking Will."
I've My answer is actually my true answer.
No, I agree with it
It's,
though.
it's like, no, just lower the bar back down and catch it on your shoulders. And actually, I've I've heard some responses to that kind of question, like how to lower it properly and have this amount of knee bend and like get your elbows here. None of it actually works. It's just lower the bar, be athletic, catch it, and reset yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a time. You only see it. Most people can figure it out. When the bar starts
Right.
approaching them, they just bend their knees. It's like a power clean, but the reverse. Like you sink in. You let the weight sink into you. You don't want to be a rock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was that one. I'm glad we addressed that on the podcast. Someone asked, "How is your elbow doing?"
Oh, my elbow is fine. I so the full story with my elbow. I haven't been super transparent about it, But I tweaked my elbow snatching. I just had a really bad rep. This was back in March. Bad rep, soft elbow. I should have dumped the bar, but I decided to catch it and press it out. Tweaked it. Stupid. Never let it heal. Kept playing basketball, kept snatching, kept clean and jerking, kept deadlifting, everything. And it just like never fully healed. And actually now it still isn't fully healed. So look at my left elbow. I can fully extend
Oh,
it. Now
yeah.
with my right. I'm missing like a couple of extra degrees of extension here. But it's fine. I'm not in pain. Maybe it just will never be able to straighten again. But I can still do everything. I'm fine.
Will's fine, everyone.
I'm fine.
Someone commented, so this guy's talking about a Lu Xiaojun video, talking about how he doesn't personally like bench press because it will affect his jerk. I made a video on this, but anyway, do you feel like the amount of pressing movements may affect your lockout, causing you to press like you described in your recent video because you don't do them for your sport? You don't need to worry about it. Just curious on your take. Are you curious? So does bench press affect your mobility? What do you think? What have you found?
I would say no. What
Mm-hmm.
would your answer be?
Yeah, definitely not. I feel like bench press can improve your mobility, if anything, because you're just training shoulder extension. And
This
I feel,
reminds me of a question. I just got a question on a YouTube video I did. Um, and I guess I'll have you answer the question too. But someone asked me, is deadlifting going to hinder your clean pull, like your clean technique? Should weightlifters deadlift? My answer is yes.
isn't it so funny how we make so many posts, at least one a fortnight, about how retarded hyperspecificity is, and
Yeah,
then people will comment
exactly.
those questions. I feel like we're trying to put that information out so that you not that you don't have to answer those questions, but you can think about it for yourself and maybe be like, surely my
Yeah.
human brain is intelligent enough to problem solve the difference between a deadlift and a clean pull, and it can figure out the two. And there's going to be more transferability of lifting a heavy object than just the other thing. Like,
It's like it's
so
just
no,
another
yeah, doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's
no.
fine. You can
Right.
deadlift.
You can deadlift, you can clean pull. Pulling something off the floor generally is good for you, and there's going to be some carryover to pulling off the floor in other ways.
Yeah, the difference with what I see, the benefit of deadlifts in like the integration in my programs, I would say it's just getting people into more of a flex position. So rather than like constantly like being in this extended posture where you're setting up for a clean, like if I've done a ton of heavy cleans and then I have to do heavy clean pulls, I just find like my back just loves being in a flex position in a deadlift, or a little bit more of a flex position with my hips a bit higher. It just feels so much better. So it's more just like spending time in different positions, and the value of that, like, just feels nice. But as far as like, I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm lifting this heavy thing, it's going to fuck my explosiveness up. And obviously that's not how it works. Like
Well, I
heavy.
think I think the question stems from, if you deadlift too much, is that going to have a negative effect on your technique pulling from the floor if you're going to clean or snatch? Because the mechanics are slightly different.
I
I
think
think
if you,
that's where the question stems from.
yeah, I think if you already have bad technique, doing deadlifts is not going to improve your technique, but it's not going to reduce your technique.
I
It's
mean,
just
it's two different tasks. It's two different tasks with two different goals. So you're going to approach them slightly differently.
exactly. It's a different movement.
Oh,
It's yeah, it's
yeah.
not the same thing. Yeah, a lot of people talk about that, and in weightlifting, like in the really hardcore, like Bulgarian hyper specific people, those are old school. There's even like a lot of new school people that like a lot of young kids that G up from the old coaches, and they'll be like, "No, you're not allowed to deadlift. You can't deadlift." Um, but yeah, it's kind of a really weird take because it doesn't really matter. You're just picking something heavy off the floor. Um,
Yeah. And then I got a question too. It was something about those parachutes that you sprint with.
yep.
Well, somebody just asked me, is that going to be bad for your sprint technique, or is that going to hurt your sprint technique, something like that. But there was this like idea that I was taught in college. Was it in college? At some point, I was taught by a mentor or an authority figure of some sort that when you sprint with a parachute, the resistance increases as your velocity increases. Right? You're following that, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, it's an improper way to train for speed because if you're sprinting without a parachute, as your velocity increases, like the resistance doesn't increase because you accelerate the acceleration phase and the max velocity
It's the
phase.
old underspeed. It's the old underspeed
Yeah,
sprinting all
and
over again.
but it's like if you think about it as you're just sprinting with other constraints,
Yes,
that's good for you. Sprint
correct.
uphill, sprint with a parachute, sprint with a sled, sprint without anything. Just go sprint. Like it's all good for you.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think
no,
the
that
argument of
question just made me think
technique.
about that.
Yeah, the argument of technique, when people bring up the technique concepts, I feel like we just really have such a flawed understanding of technique, or like we really don't understand how our brain problem solves, and how we like how different constraints can affect the way we perform the task. I just think that people just generally have a really poor understanding of it. I think they've generally been like brainwashed by a lot of squat university posts. And if you lift like this on 1 rep, you're going to lift like that forever. You don't want to, it's like, no, that's not how it works. Um, yes, that's weird. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know why people, anyway. Someone commented, are we done with that topic? Do we want to keep
yeah,
going? Is there
I
anything?
think so.
Yeah, there's nothing. Have you had any other recent questions that you can think of that you're like, I feel like you've made a YouTube video on almost
No,
every question that someone would ask.
if it's worthy of making a video out of it, instead of answering them, I just make a YouTube video.
Yeah,
But I
otherwise you
can't think
say
of any
no,
more
just
right
be
now.
athletic.
Yes, figure it out.
Someone commented, so I've never heard this term, and I was researching it last night. And he goes, I know a big benefit of the Olympic lifts is the double pulse neurology, such as exploding and then relaxing, then stiffening to catch the bar. I've never heard of double pulse neurology.
That sounds like a really convoluted explanation of why you should Olympic lift.
Yeah, mid IQ.
I would
Double
never
pulse
say something
neurology. I've
like
never
that.
heard of that.
I don't know what that
Um,
is.
I think what's wrong with just saying contract and relax, or just
Yeah.
like anyway. So he says, my question is, are the major benefits to catching the bar overhead snatch as opposed to the front rack clean? Obviously, like fuck, Will Ratelle you talking to? Sorry.
Did I
Uh,
answer?
yeah. Only reason I ask is because my clean is nasty, but it's going to take me forever to learn the snatch. I'm about to be 30. And you said, yes, I discussed in the Haas Olympic.
All right, go buy my House Olympic book. There you go. Get my full answer.
That's a really good Jake Jura answer.
Yeah, he does a lot of that kind of stuff.
I love that. I feel like you could but then you run into the problem of memeing your audience too much.
Mhm.
Which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm still yet to figure that out. But the I feel like you gotta take the piss out of them sometimes.
Yeah, the problem I think, and I don't want to speak for Jake or anybody, but I feel like the problem with that would be if you meme too much, as your audience grows, as you get new audience members, they're not going to understand like the inside joke to it because they haven't been around as much. And
Yeah.
then it might turn them off, or it just might require too much effort for them to dig enough to figure out what it all really means. And then you might lose a customer.
Yep. I agree.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's get into. We've got a few other questions or a few other topics that I want to run with you today. We've got Olympic weight tricking. So that's something that we discussed before the podcast. But you put out a video recently of some uh, odd lifts. I would call them like odd Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
Or these are the Haas Olympic lifts. They have their own category or their own bucket. Like the bazooka clean, that's like my favorite one. I was actually going to put it in the mentorship, but then I thought of just linking your video of Olympic weight tricking. It was just more of a case for like these are the things you can do with Olympic weightlifting, but more so if you accept that these movements exist or how you can make changes to a movement, then um, all it does is frame your understanding of the Olympic lifts as just a skill-based movement, or like more evidence for them to be a movement problem for your athletes to solve, rather than. Well, 'cause when you think about it, a clean is pretty crazy in itself. Like you're literally jumping, like you're going to explode and then catch and receive under a really like 180 kilos. Um, the act of that's pretty crazy. But what do you think about weight tricking? And obviously, like I know you talked about it in the past. Like it's like a game for you to come into the gym.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's more movement problem solving, which is a good thing. And like at least for me, I'm not like maybe I'll compete in it one time, maybe I'll go sign up for a meet, but I'm not like trying to win the gold or anything. So I don't put like that much effort into refining my technique with them. So, and I'm competent enough already where I can kind of just get more creative with them. And like I'm strong enough where I can add load, like significant amount of load to them. So it's just like finding more ways to be more creative, make it more engaging. But you can get as creative as you want with it. Some of them are more creative than others. Some really aren't that creative. I mean, I've stolen most of that stuff from other people, like the bazooka clean that came from Clifton Harsky. You follow him?
Yeah, I
He's
followed him
awesome.
after you shared
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. Cliff's awesome. Or like
his
K
bazooka
Dot's
clean
done,
was pretty bad though. It was a no. Well, he did a no contact one.
and he did it with a safety squat bar. Did you see that one? Like I don't even know how you do that with the safety squat bar, but he did it.
Did he take the
But
little
like
knobs off the handles, or he just?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and
Wow,
look. But
makes it more
he
exciting.
caught it on his shoulder,
That's
and then I
probably
think he
better.
lunged. Yeah, but yeah, no, like K Dot's done a lot of that stuff. I'm pretty sure Keane O'Brien has done some of that stuff too. And then people see all the stuff that like Atlas Power Shrug comes up with or Deadliest Lift comes up with, but that's much more like strength based, I guess, or like more like closer to like what powerlifting is, just like grinding through a heavy rep. But with so the stuff with the Olympic weight tricking would be like there's like these criteria that I've kind of come up with to make it a game. I'm gonna make it a game for people to join me in. So like big things coming. So stay tuned.
We got to plant the
Um,
seed.
yes, plant the seed
Will there be
indeed.
merch? Will there be merch?
Well, now there's going to be because you just gave me that idea, but I
Yeah,
hadn't thought about
there has to be merch. I think people would just want the merch. Like imagine if we I'll help you design it. I'll help you come up with some ideas. We're gonna have another business meeting.
You're my
Um
brains, Brandon. You
dude,
really are.
dude.
Uh,
I reckon what we do is we can do like a retro, we could do like a retro looking like one of those world championships, like a faded like it looks a bit retro, like yeah, the Hoss games. I
yeah,
don't know, but we'll come up with something. It can be like
yeah,
the first anniversary Hoss games.
yeah. Well, okay. So here's
Anyway,
my
sorry, there's
criteria.
merch. Go on.
Here's my criteria for what would be considered like Olympic weight tricking would be there has to be some obvious element or derivative of an Olympic lift. So like you obviously are cleaning, snatching, or jerking the bar in some way. We can define. I mean, they have definitions already. We can put that in somewhere. But so that would be one criteria. The other criteria is that it has to be explosive based. It can't be like a grinding rep that you
It's
just
not
grind
Olympic
through.
power tricking. It's
Right.
Olympic weight tricking. It's not
It's
powerlifting.
Olympic lifting based. Yes. So it has to be explosive. And then the other thing is that it has to be like fluid. So you can't sit so like a clean and jerk, you clean the bar, you can sit there for 10 seconds with the bar in a front rack, reset your feet, reset your hands, and then jerk the bar. Right. I want to make it so that it has to be more fluid than that. Like it's all one continuous task or one continuous
So you want
motion.
it to be like a thruster. There's no pause in the dip and
Yeah.
drive.
Yes. So like
So
the
split clean
split
to split
clean.
jerk.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Split clean, and then immediately as you catch the bar, you got to hoist it up. You got to jerk it back up overhead.
The more
Um,
the
yeah.
muster, that's my favorite. The close grip
Yeah.
thruster.
The muscle clean cluster. Yes. Yeah. That
um
thing was hard, dude. That thing is
yeah, that
really
looked
hard.
really painful. So the other concern I have, just this is in the business meeting. I don't know if we can use or you can use the word Olympic.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay,
We
cool.
can come up with something different.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if we call it if using the word Olympic is going to um it's going to have the connotation to Olympic lifts, which I
Yeah, yeah,
think
but
would
no, no, I mean for like a legal perspective. Supposedly, if
Oh,
you have like say for example, I was told like I have the Olympic Games flag in my gym. Apparently, if you put up photos of like your athletes or people, your clients, like in front of an Olympic flag, like apparently it's like they don't like that, or like anyone who made. I don't know. I've recently seen like there's like they have like lawsuits with people who use the Olympics content. It's like really hard to find Olympic content online, or you have to like pay for it, or they're like really funny about
oh,
copyright with the rings. The rings are like really important.
well, that's good to know because I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, probably nothing could probably happen. But yeah, I think Haas weight tricking is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, yes.
This is going to be recorded as well, so we're going to have a business meeting anyway. We'll go through it all. But
Yeah.
no, sweet. Yeah, I'm excited. The lifts sound good, and I feel like some people are creative enough. Like I'm sure Chris Speed, shout out to Chris Speed. I'm sure Chris could come up with something.
He has come up with other things that I haven't tried before.
You'd
I'd have to
even
go back onto his Instagram and like scroll through far back, but he's definitely done things where I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of cool that
the
I
other
haven't
one
tried.
that you did get up and jump into a split squat.
Yeah, like a knee jump into a split stance, into a split jerk.
Okay, so these are my questions I
Yep.
have for you now. So with the get up and jump, are your toes on the ground, or is your foot flat on the floor when you do your knee jump? What do you find more optimal?
Uh, I think I'm plantar flexed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fuck, that's a
Because then
hard one.
I think you're more incentivized to like really use your hips because you're not going to use your ankles as much.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You're constrained. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. And then the other one, yeah, get up. The other one, the last one you did was I think I did 30 kilos or 40 kilos, was the get up and jump into snatch balance.
Yeah. Get up into like a squat jump
Yeah, that's right. Snatch
into a
balance.
snatch balance. Yeah. And that was my arms are so close together on that one for my hands. It was so uncomfortable. I should have had my hands wider.
Would you ever put out a Haas nutrition ebook?
No, I don't know anything about nutrition.
Hmm.
I
Would
don't
you
know
ever?
anything about nutrition. Hey, I don't know anything about nutrition. I will never claim to know anything about nutrition, but I think the people that do claim they know anything about nutrition are full of shit. I don't listen to anybody about that. I don't care who they are.
I think that's the worst content on the internet is nutrition based content. The
I don't
worst
want to hear
content to
about
consume.
keto. I don't want to hear about really any diet because I don't trust the person who's selling it to me. Even if they are giving me like a moderate take where it's like you should have a well-balanced diet with vegetables and proteins and
My
carbohydrates
mum
with
knows that.
complex
My mum
everything. I
used
don't
to tell me that.
right, right. But what I'm saying is I don't trust anybody who's giving me nutrition advice because I think all the research is skewed. That's why I make fun of the evidence-based crowd. But like the people who are actually doing the research, that they're not intelligent people. They sit in a lab and they wear lab coats all day, and that's it. I don't trust
You don't trust them.
them.
So they would never. So that's to all the people who have been asking. There's no Haas nutrition.
No, I'm
No.
never going to do
Yeah.
nutrition content ever. Yeah,
Even
never.
if it's a meme, I think it would be funny if it's a meme.
Maybe if it's a meme,
Yeah.
but I'm
Okay.
not. I don't have many memes. I've only posted a couple memes.
Would you ever get into memes? I feel like I don't as someone who consumes a lot of your content. I don't think you should change anything. I don't think you should get into memes.
No, I probably won't. Like I've
Everything's
shared a few
working
memes on my
well.
story. Yeah, I've shared a few memes on my story. I'll do it once every 8 weeks, I guess. But that's just not my style.
The next thing I was gonna get into, fuck, we just
The
roasted
other, hey,
nutrition.
Brandon, the other thing is, with my humor, you understand my humor.
I love
You
it.
get it.
Yeah, yeah,
I get your humor. Like we get it. But there's
yeah.
gonna be a lot of people that won't get
I do not get.
it.
The only people who react to my humor is you, Matt Watson. And that's probably about it. And maybe Chris. because it's just like this level of sarcasm and inside jokes that people just don't understand. Like I think
Yeah.
I shared the other one about virtue signaling and how people do virtue
Yeah.
signaling content. That's like
I replied to that.
that's such a good way to explain it because it's just virtue signaling. It's like the other one. Don't text at night. Like don't get on your guys. If you want to recover for summer workouts, don't be on your phone. Don't be on your
Yes.
phone. Get the nasal
Take your 5 grams
strips,
of creatine.
creatine. Um, there was another one. Sleep, obviously sleep because you're not on your phone.
Yeah. Drink your gallon of water, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eat enough protein. All of it.
That's mad. Anyway, yeah, people don't get. I don't think people find it funny. Anyway, uh, what do you take? What's your take on fringe contrast?
Is that a question I got?
It
Well,
is. No, I just
you know
asked
my
you it.
take. Yeah, you know my take on the band assisted jumps.
Yes, yes. How did
Uh,
that go? Did everyone receive that really well? I feel like the last
no.
time, no, yeah, that
Well,
one.
most people did, but there's people who are still I mean they're ideologically constrained to supporting the band assisted jumps
Max
because
Schmarzo
they
put up a post recently about the benefits of band assisted jumps as well, and one of my members was trying to comment on it, telling him how it's decreasing the
I read through that whole thing.
yeah. So he was saying how he's like, oh well, it's underloading the landing, and then he like did a straw man, and he was like, yeah, but that's if you only care about load, and it's like,
Yeah, no, I read through that
what?
whole thread. I was close to commenting on it, but I decided not to
Good
for
idea.
the reason we were talking about earlier. I
Yep,
don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll just go make my own post about it if I want to.
that's better anyway.
But
Yep.
yeah, so my what's my position on French contrast? What are my thoughts on French contrast? Um, I don't think about it. I don't know. I've done it before, but like the problem with the French contrast is that I reject that the band assisted jumps are an overspeed drill or an overspeed exercise. So because I reject that right there, I think the French contrast um, is the efficacy of the French contrast is already negated right there. But we'll just talk about the other parts of it, I guess, which would be so what is the French contrast? It's like a bilateral heavy movement, right? Paired with a unassisted jump, paired with a loaded jump, paired with an overspeed jump. So if we eliminate the overspeed jump, I mean, I'm a fan of jumping. So do some unweighted jumps, I'm cool with that. Do some loaded jumps, I'm cool with that. I don't think there's anything unique about it as far as like because a lot of the claim is along the force velocity curve kind of argument, right? You're training the force and then you're training the velocity and then you're surfing the curve up and down, which I think is just kind of lame. But I think loaded jumps are good because I think jumping is good and you're just adding a constraint to jumping, which is good. I think jumping without load is good, and I think lifting heavy is good. So I have no problems with anybody doing that. I just reject the premise of band assisted jumps being an overspeed movement.
Yeah.
So that's my take on
Do you know what you've made a good take in the past about how people this is more to do with supersets and like complexes because I think supersets so like the I don't believe in doing this force velocity curve in a complex because I think that's dumb. I don't like that method. But I believe in supersets and I think supersets are great. And you've had a post a YouTube one in the past, which is I think it's great, where it's like, don't do, do the basics when you're first starting, don't do complexes and supersets and shit like that when you're first starting out. Where if anything, it's probably the opposite. Which is what you were saying in the video. I'm going to get to like your point, but it was you were saying how well you're so shit at the start. This is not you didn't say shit, but you said you're such a beginner when you start. You don't need a high level of stimulus in order to improve. So you can probably incorporate another movement in a superset, and it'll probably still drive a ton of adaptation into the movement. It's not going to take away from it. If anything, it's going to allow you to you're going to explore more movements. And then when you become more advanced, that's when you can hone in on those individual things, and you can find what works for you a lot quicker by using supersets because of that exploratory component where you can integrate different exercises into a superset. Advanced people need simple solutions. If you're super strong,
Yeah.
like if
Yes.
you squat 600 pounds and I'm going to make you do a superset with another exercise, you're probably not going to improve your squat. And you're probably not going to improve your explosiveness if you do a bunch of supersets with your Olympic lifts. But when you're a beginner, you can certainly do broad jumps and a bunch of other movements in a superset, and you're probably still going to get better. If you only snatch 60 kilos, you can do whatever you want. You can do a lot of things between the sets of snatches because it's not that heavy. But if you snatch 160 or 150, you're going to need a very simple solution in order to improve your snatch. You're going to need to drive more adaptation currency or more energy into that movement if that's the thing you want to improve, because you're so much better at it, and it's going to take more recovery to improve that quality. So I feel like contrasts are good for beginners.
Yes, I agree. Because like the more advanced you are, you just need a more potent stimulus, but that doesn't mean it's a more complex stimulus.
Correct.
Actually, it's actually the opposite. You need a more simple. You need a more simple strategy. You need a more simple strategy to experience that stimulus.
What are your thoughts on weighted extensive plyos?
I think they're good. There's nothing really to say about that, actually. Jumping, like plyos are good, and adding load is good, and so they're both good. I when I said that on Jake's podcast, I was kind of just trying to come up with something fast to answer his question. That's what I came up with. So, but yeah, I think doing plyos is good. Adding some load is good. So might as well do it as long as you can handle the stress. It's gonna be a good
that was
stress
how
for you.
that was how I that was how I took it when you're on the podcast. I was like, fuck, this guy's quick. I reckon he's just like saying what his last text message to himself was. That's what I was thinking.
I
I was
think
like,
that's what it
my
was
man's
actually.
fast. He's quick.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, fuck, he's on. And then
Well, the question he asked me is like, what are some new concepts that I'm thinking of? What are some new things I'm like working on? It's like, I don't know, because all of the content that I come up with like kind of on the spot based on some question that I get on Instagram. And then I text it to myself, and then I sit on my computer and I write an answer to it, and then I make a YouTube video on it. So I don't have like these grand schemes or concepts or ideas that I'm really thinking about very thoroughly. They come across, and if I think it's worth looking into or thinking about some more or writing something about, then I do.
yeah, I usually do mine at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. at the moment. It's pretty bad. I can't think of anything during the day. I don't know
When
why.
is that when you think the best is late at night?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. They just come to me then, like my muse. It just speaks to me and it says, do this, write this post, go quickly, write it down. And that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't
I
think.
think
If I force myself, it doesn't work.
right. Yeah, you can't force yourself. If you like intentionally set aside some time to like make something or
It
be
doesn't
creative
work
it doesn't work.
for
I think I
me.
do. I think I do my best thinking when I'm training, when I'm lifting.
Mm,
If I have some music that I like that's blasting, and then I just start thinking about what I'm doing and ways to make it better, something might spark.
sweet.
Or actually scrolling Instagram or Twitter, and then you come across some low IQ takes,
Twitter's
and
really good.
then that gets the wheel spinning.
I've muted too many people on Instagram. I checked the other day. I've muted like 250 people.
Why?
I don't know. Well, they say something retarded, and I'm like, okay, fucking mute stories and
That's what you
posts.
need, dude. That's
Yeah,
what I need to see
that's why I
that
have
to
Twitter.
for me to think about things.
That's
You
why I have
can't mute them.
Twitter. Oh,
Yeah, you can't mute them because then if you see something that's retarded that a lot of people believe in, there's your content right there. Then you can refute it in a post or in a YouTube video. You can refute it, and then you've made your content. Like with all of those anti-Olympic lifting posts that we just
yeah.
send to each other. They're like, there you go. I can make a YouTube video responding to this bad take.
I find it hard to just do a post on just one aspect because I feel like there's just so many things to shit on or so many things. Like lately, the posts just keep getting longer. All I want to do, like Angus, I just love how Angus just I don't know if I'd love it, but I just like, he just puts one thing and it's just like one tile. In my mind, I'm like, how can you just say one thing? Like, don't you just have to say like a thousand things about why it's stupid, like, or why it's wrong? And I just have all these random ideas. You know what I think it is? I think it's like me not wanting to be wrong. Not even like deep down, I don't want to be wrong, but not even that I care. But it's more like I just want to have like a bulletproof argument or like a bulletproof, um, I know concept. And it's like, well, these are the reasons why I think it's, why I believe in my method. And I just have like things that branch off it. I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
that's how I see it.
Well,
It's like with
Angus
the
made
YouTube.
that post, made a post that I have saved. I have saved and I whip it out whenever whenever I can use it to my benefit. But the post says like you can have actionable information or you can have context. Pick
Mm,
one. And
mm.
so if you follow that, you just put your idea out and then again,
I do
someone's gonna
both.
comment, someone's gonna comment on your post and it's like, yeah, I'm not giving you context, I'm giving you the actionable information. Don't talk to me about some eighth grader who's trying to lose weight and why your method is actually better than mine for this one very narrow case.
That's a good point. I think I try and do both. That's the problem.
Yeah. I used to try to do both. Now I really try to just do the actionable information.
Mm.
I really try to not give context as much as possible and let people figure it out. If you can't figure out uh if you can't figure out when looking at my posts or my YouTube videos, if you can't consume that and apply it to the correct contexts, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
Well, people don't even read the captions.
Right. That happens often.
This has been episode 1 of the Hoss Hour. Do we have what do you reckon? I reckon we could do this every 4 to 6 weeks.
I think we should. Did we go through all the little bullet points
Yeah, I
already?
didn't really have the other thing that I wanted to talk about was AI for strength and conditioning, but I didn't listen to the podcast Matt told me to listen to. Or he didn't say to me to listen to it. He said he really liked it. And then I just looked up this guy on he was talking about like the dangers of AI, and I looked him up on Twitter and he was saying like AI is so dangerous, you might want to think about not having kids if you're thinking about having kids. And then that's kind of where I went with it. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. And then it was kind of like, how it's like climate change is bad, we got to stop. And it's like, dude, we're not stopping, bro. We're not
Ugh.
stopping. Like, I'm still gonna go to the supermarket. I'm still gonna buy all my meat. Like, I'm still gonna buy all the food. It's still there. Like, the supermarket people aren't slowing down. Like, no
Yep.
one's slowing down. They're still making books out of paper.
Yeah.
Like receipts are bad, but they're still making this machine's still spitting them out. Like, there's like, what's really funny? Okay, has nothing to do with strength and conditioning. This is just a rant between you and I, but the supermarkets here, they no longer were going to give free plastic bags. So all of a sudden they're like, no more plastic bags, it's bad for the environment. And then the next day they're like, cool, when you purchase X amount of dollars, you get free plastic toys.
Dude, that's like California. Like they stopped selling or offering plastic straws with their drinks, thinking that they're going to save the environment. But then they use like paper straws. But then this when paper's sitting in liquid for
Can't
more than
recycle
10
it?
minutes, it gets all soggy. So then the straws don't even work.
Yeah, that's retarded.
Yeah, they're fucking idiots.
Okay. Um,
We can talk about AI next time, but that's a really broad thing. Um, we'll have to just take some people's opinions and then talk about their opinions
we'll
within.
have to listen to that
AI.
podcast. We'll have to listen to that
Yeah,
podcast. All right.
yeah.
So on the next episode, AI and strength and conditioning, how it's going to take your jobs and why you shouldn't have kids.
I
Thanks so much
should
for
have
listening.
kids.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. I will see you in the next episode.